Hello and welcome to the latest episode of New Rules Podcast, the club management podcast. Joining me today is Richard Magill. Richard is the CEO, owner of Golf Hubber app, but Richard's got a lot more to his story than that. He's a golf club member, he's a golf club committee man, he's a chairman of handicaps, and he's got a real insight into the sort of business world as well, and what's going to benefit golf clubs moving forward, and particularly through this post-lockdown period for COVID-19. So I hope you enjoy the episode. It's certainly one I've enjoyed recording with Richard. We've had a good chat, and if you're watching this on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe. If you're downloading it on iTunes, please give us a good rating if you enjoy it. Push us up those rankings. Thanks very much. The Welshie type theme. We'll go Eendai Tree, and we're live. So, Rich, thanks for joining me. It's a busy time for us both. In our day jobs, but yeah, I mean, just to give people listening or watching a bit of background, Rich and I used to work together actually a long time ago, many years ago. I was still a teenager, so that's how long ago that was. Rich is younger than me, as you can tell if you're watching. We worked in the glamorous world of B&Q Warehouse, didn't we, over in Pontprenai in Cardiff there. Rich as well was with us. And well, I was kind of thinking back to that before I knew that obviously we were gonna come on here now, and it occurred to me the night I actually got together with my wife was the night that you and I actually went to someone's birthday party dressed identically with bleached blonde hair and yellow lens glasses, if you remember.
Wow, I forgot about that. Yeah. Blue shirts. We went on
I believe, no, white. And I tell you why. I borrowed it from someone and got food on it. So, so I remember it well. So,
that was a good look.
That would have been 21 and a half years ago, something like that now. So that's the background for people. I left glamorous B&Q to take on my high-flying job stacking shelves at Sainsbury's then after that. So obviously Rich and I then lost contact for many years other than the old Facebook thing. And I think we caught up a couple of years ago then when you were starting to get into golf and that sort of thing. We've chatted a couple of times. But, we'll get on to later on what it is that you do within golf now and that sort of thing. And obviously that's how we've connected a bit more recently. And so, that's just the background for people. So we do know each other. It's been a big break in between our last conversation and our most recent one. So I think golf certainly wasn't something I was ever aware was on your agenda back then. You probably didn't realise I played either because it wasn't cool, was it, when you were 18, 19 to be...
I didn't play.
No, I didn't play it. So, well, it's a good place to start, really. Where'd you pick it up?
I started playing when I probably started playing when I was about 28 with my uncle up in London, when I was up in London, and joined my first club when I was 30. But I only took up golf really because I blew my knee out playing rugby. And just kind of wanted something competitive, something to do. I played a couple of rounds with my uncle, and just joined a golf club, the Hertfordshire. And became addicted.
Happens to us all. Yeah.
It does, It's just that one shot around where you think, actually, I could have probably gone pro.
So it's a lethal thought. I think I had it once during one round about 15 years ago. But then that's the beauty and the reality of golf, though, isn't it? You probably shanked your next shot and leave your head, really. I remember the best round of my life was at the Bristol. and that was blimey, that was 20 years ago. And I was thinking, I tell you what, if I work at this, and then I went out the following day, full of confidence, in love with golf, and I think I walked off halfway round. I was so bad, and I think that's what keeps us going, isn't it? Because
definitely, it's playing for that one shot, that one shot.
Certainly is, yeah.
Sad,
so you're playing. You're in the Hertfordshire now. You've become a member. Interesting, because I think this is quite topical at the moment. Why the decision to become a member? Because your life later on now with golf, would suggest you may be one of those people that doesn't think membership is maybe be all and end all for golf. So why the decision to join the golf club?
The honest answer to that is they were doing a deal, and you could join with another person. And a guy I knew who I played with, lived in my area, was like, "I'm going to join. Do you fancy joining?" And I just, because I got the bug, I thought, yeah, brilliant, I'll join. Because before that, I used to play as a nomad, different courses, every other week. Just like the thought of it. And don't get me wrong, I still love playing golf at one club, and the kind of swindles, the friends you make there. But I also love to play other courses.
Do you do it much? A lot of people,
I do play. Yeah. Well, not at the moment, but I do try and play. Yeah, I do try and play a lot of other courses, kind of amateur tours and things like that, just to kind of I think it improves your game, and it's nice to play other places.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky. I forget how lucky I am sometimes in the job that I have, in that, I go to Golf Club Manager Association meetings and that sort of thing. And more often than not, particularly in the Wales region, where I'm probably more active than I am in the region I work in, because that's become my network over the last 15 years. And, those guys have done a hell of a lot for me over the years. And I don't want to leave them, basically. I'm just being selfish. But, I do forget how lucky I am to go and play in some of these events, and especially on the courses that let us on for nothing to hold our events. And, I mean, Wales, England last year, the match, I think it was at Porth Call last year. I mean, this year, the away match was going to be at Little Aston. I've been to St George's Hill with the Wales match. But even during, within Wales, the sort of competitions that we play there, they're always on the best courses in the country, Sometimes I haven't got the game for that, but other times I just have to really remind myself I'm really lucky, I think, sometimes. And it sounds like you get around to those as well.
I feel blessed that I've created something, A, that I love to do, and B, allows me to do my hobby. And that's the way I see it. I'm doing my hobby and enjoying doing my hobby. A little bit embarrassing, actually. The only course I've played in Wales is Celtic Manor. I haven't played any other course because
Which one?
When I Montgomery. Is it Montgomery?
Oh, were you in a buggy?
Yeah. And it rained a lot.
You'll be walking up the hills now.
Yeah. It literally hammered down. But I literally haven't played any other course in Wales, like Royal Porth Call and all them. are on my list to do. But because I'm up in Hertfordshire.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I say this. I worked in Wiltshire for 2 years, and I used to say this to the members. They used to go on golf trips, and they'd say, "Oh, we were down your way on the weekend. We had a 3-day golf trip," and I'd say, "Well, where were you?" And obviously, they're down near Swansea or something like that. It's nowhere near. Yeah. Down your way to them is in Wales, and I'd sort of say, "All right, where did you play?" And the courses they play, no disrespect to them, I'd think, blimey, I could have recommended you, because I think if you're going to go and travel somewhere, and you're a group of tidy golfers, do a bit of research and have a mixture. Do you know what I mean? Have some. Have an inland parkland course, whatever. But when you're in South Wales, get yourself to the coast. There's some unbelievable courses on the M4 corridor. So that's going to have to be one of your golf trips. You'll have to arrange, because
it's down. Well, we're going to come down Bristol way first, and then across. So
it's more More than welcome. Not at the moment, mine's members only with the whole lockdown just being lifted. But I mean, with that, thank God it's over. Honestly, I just felt a huge weight off my shoulders yesterday, which was the first day we were open. Just thinking of these members who've supported the club and just been sat there twiddling their thumbs. And for a big chunk of that time, since the 1st of April, they've been sat there hearing on the news, hearing in WhatsApp groups and things that, it might be July before golf can be played. And I thought, I mean, that's a horrible message to keep getting. So, all right, it's restricted.
Do you think golf should have ever stopped?
I've got split views on it. If you look in isolation at golf, the sport of golf, I can understand why so many golfers were irate. I mean, I'm on a Facebook group for South Wales golfers, and there's some really good posts and arguments and things been put on there. But I think the CEO of England Golf kindly came on some Zoom meetings that I was on, and he basically explained that, look, the reason golf was closed was mainly because of the non-essential travel restriction. It wasn't because of anything else. Now, I think it was probably a good thing in the long term, or certainly in the medium term, that it happened, because there was some horrendous photos taken the last weekend before the lockdown. So, even where I work, where the members mostly did it, they weren't used to it. It wasn't anyone misbehaving or being arrogant or ignorant or anything like that. It was just they're not used to the whole distancing. We had a few times where we had people congregating on the patio on the Saturday, which was the busiest day. It was a beautiful day. It was the day that we had all the photographs of everyone on the beaches. And I think the thing for me with it was, now they've been locked out, and we're so grateful to be back, because I'm a member of a club myself. The clubs have also had time to work long and hard. Fair play to the GCMA regions, because we've all been working together on best practice. And I think now when we put things in place, I've got to be fair, I can only speak for where I work, but I spoke to some other managers this morning, and it's been the same. And the members are all they're completely supportive of any measures that have been put in place, really. So now, because they've been deprived their golf, I think they realise that, this actually is quite serious. So I'm glad to be back. Now, the advice from some managers in Denmark, who were obviously 6 weeks ahead of us with reopening and things like that, is that tolerance may not be terribly long-lived. Yeah. So that is the next thing for us managers to think about, really, is how do we sort of keep people, distancing and not turning up too early and that sort of thing, because it would be a disaster now, having had all this euphoria and press coverage and everything else, if in 3 weeks' time we got locked down again because of a series of Twitter posts with golfers almost hugging each other. We'll see. I mean, what was your reaction?
It will happen.
What was your reaction as a member, though, as a golf member? And obviously you've got another interest in the golf industry, but what did you think when it was closed?
Well, I'm a golf fan first, so for it being closed, I just couldn't. I think they did it as a publicity thing rather than a safety thing. I think if they'd let golf continue, like you said, they would have, there would have been pictures of people playing golf. There's always somebody willing to high five somebody else, or whatever it may be. So I think they had to do it for the publicity side of things, to show that it was across the board, everyone. And now they're going to slowly introduce it back. So, for me, the last it's been a countdown since, Sunday, because, thinking about the app, great, but I'm thinking, I'm playing. I played yesterday, I played today. I had a time booked in tomorrow, but I'm too busy.
Yeah, you must be abusing your position at that golf club to have had 2 games in 2 days.
100%. 100%. It's one of them to the call to the shop, hey, I know you can only book online, but can you slot me in?
Yeah. Well, if you've managed to get a tee time. I mean, does your club usually have tee times?
Listen, Gareth, we're slightly different. Our club was taken over fairly kind of, well, I say it's the last 6 to 8 months.
Right.
We've lost a lot of our membership because there was a scenario. The new members are really brilliant. The new owners are really good. They're spending a lot of money on the course, but we lost a membership. I wouldn't like to guess what the membership is, but it's probably half of what yours is. So there's been tea times available, ready, to go. So they're only. I assume you only let him book in 3 days ahead.
No.
That's what they've done.
What I would say is, and we've made this clear to the members really where I work, and we've been, we've admitted from the start that look, we're new to this, and we are not going to get it spot on right from day one. So, if something isn't to your liking, doesn't suit you, whatever, don't be shy in telling us that. But, let's not be irate about it because it's not perfect on day one, because, we're all learning in this. And, I basically lost the 2 days that I needed to get everything else organised after Boris's announcement to setting up and administering a tea booking system. Now, as I've explained to the members where I work, that would be, if I was going to put that in, that would be a 6 to 8 week process. We'd build it, we'd trial 9-minute times, 10 minutes, 8 minutes. We'd run, dummy runs on it. I'd run training sessions for the members. I'd make, instructional videos. I'd go over the top with it. I'd be, publicising the launch date. We had 36 hours. And not only us, 85% of the other clubs in the country were all doing the same thing at the same time. So, of course, it was crashing servers. We were sending emails that were supposed to land straight away to tell members that the booking system's open, and it was landing 11 hours after it was sent. So then by the time they see it and log in, a T-sheet's full. But it was going to happen. Just inevitable.
And every single golfer was sitting there at a computer ready to book, or key in hand, ready to get to the club, and so everyone was chomping at the bit, to get the tea times.
Not only, I agree completely. Not only were they sitting there at the computer, when it got to certain flashpoints, so call it 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the evening. There would have been people sat there constantly clicking refresh, which every time you do, it has to be processed, doesn't it? So you've got 9 million people trying to book.
Is it bad? Is it bad that I had my phone app for the club? I had my iPad and I had my laptop out, all with it on, kind of seeing which one would get kind of first.
Yeah, now, see, I know that your club uses the same software as me, so you've been part of my problem for the last 2 days. So
100%. No, I got no issue, and I'm not sorry. I love the round of golf I played. I played rubbish, but...
Yeah. So does your club usually have tea bookings every day, or is it roll up and play?
It's tea bookings every day, except we have block bookings. So Saturday swindle, captain's tea. We have captain's tea times on a Saturday, Sunday. So it's blocked out. So non-members can't book before kind of 12. But normal weekdays,
any member could book. Any member could roll up to that, could they?
Yeah, correct. Right. Yeah.
So you've got a bit of
an
apps.
So yes. So funny enough, we use my app. So, we'll set up the app for the Saturday. People will pre-register, and then we'll do a draw, and, we go from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not busy, my club. So at the moment, talking about the moment, but if we were kind of like in normal circumstances, you could just, a lot of the time I would just go, if I've got an afternoon free, I'll just roll up to the club and you can get out.
Yeah. Well, it'll be an interesting time because, like a lot of clubs, and the club I'm a member of is the same. When you ask the members, or would you like to, are you happy with roll up, or would you like a tea booking system? The answer comes back quite strongly. Oh no, we like it as we are. We don't want a tea booking system. And I have conversations with people sometimes, and they describe the problems they get for getting off the tee. And when I say to them, "You've just actually described all the reasons that you would want a tee booking system. I'm not proposing it myself, but that you would want one." And they sort of say, "Oh no, we wouldn't want that." But I think, because I was like it, for the first 10 years of my golf career, I worked at clubs with no tee booking system, and I always said, "Oh no, no, no." And then I worked at Kingsdown in Wiltshire, who had tee booking. They'd had it for a couple of years by then, so it had bedded in. And I tell you, it just an education really on nothing to do with maximising visitors or anything else. I never went that way at Kingsdown because we didn't really need to go mental on that sort of thing. But just on the member experience, and when they get there, it's just a nice smooth sort of flow through the place.
I think you've got to have a mix. You've got to have two, and I think at our club, I think we mix it well. With the tea time booking plus, we do a members. Like, so on a Saturday, say there's captain's tea times from 7 till 9:30. Then there's an hour, or half an hour slot for ladies, and then there's an after the ladies slot as well.
Yeah.
So you can just roll up and play in them, and you get drawn with whoever you get drawn with, and then in the afternoon you can book a tea time. And non-members tea time.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I guess you're giving the player perspective there, and that's I try when I play at my home club, I always try and not to think like a golf industry worker. I try to think like just like a member, and I try as best as I can to switch that off for the 4 or 5 hours I'm there. And but think about it from just your perspective now, as somebody that has an app about golf. Data is really important, isn't it? And
100%.
One of the big problems the golf industry has got is that once a year we write to our customers or members, our owners in member clubs cases, and we ask them, "Do you want to stay? And if you do, it's X number of pounds." Whereas if you're a member of, think about things that cost the same sort of thing, like David Lloyd Leisure here in Cardiff, roughly the same as a membership for a good golf club here in Cardiff. They never write to you and say, "Oh, do you want to stay?" So in that, because we have that model, I continue to wonder about the wisdom of not having the faintest idea how much golf your members, your owners are playing. So one of the things I was able to do when I worked at Kingsdown with a tee booking system was, this is obviously from a management point of view and a board point of view, because they used to get this data as well. We'd find people that halfway through the year have only played 3 times. They're big flight risks, aren't they? At the next renewal, huge flight risk.
Definitely.
So what can we do to start engaging with those people who aren't playing much? And that's what, I always think, we can learn from other industries massively. There's the guy who owns the personal training gym that I use in Cardiff when they're allowed to open. He's going to be coming on here in the next couple of weeks, because the way he runs his business, golf could learn so much from it. And I just think, you are not getting into a David Lloyd Leisure club without swiping your card, so they know you've been there. It doesn't matter who you are swiping that card. So they've got the data on when you're there. And it means that, not so much on the targeted promotion side, because I just used to unsubscribe from that, but they know I was there. And when I stop going, or when my frequency of visit goes down, they know that I'm a danger of being lost. And all of a sudden, things start coming into my inbox, and sometimes it's just the little nudge I need to get back down there for that one when I've maybe been a bit lazy. And that's the point from the management side. Nothing to, because obviously members, suspicious people generally. I'm one myself at the club I play at. They automatically assume that the reason anyone would even suggest tee booking systems is because you want to force visitors onto the course. It's probably consideration 3 or 4 for me. The most important thing is making sure we can get members on the course. It's making sure that I know which members are not coming. And sometimes it's adding value. We had a flexible membership, Kingsdown Golf Club. So you paid a certain amount, and then you'd pay 15 quid every time you played, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I found 6 members that by the end of the year, it cost them more to be flexible members than had they been full members, because they joined on the flexi thinking, oh, I'll give myself that freedom. And they're such frequent golfers that they'd spent maybe 200 quid more than the people who had full membership. So we were able to just go to them and say, do you want £200 off your golf next year? Yes, please. Say, right, we'll just become a full member then. So it's not always about getting more money or more this, more that. Sometimes it's about, hang on, you've got to be really observant, and you've got to have a great, and I mean great, team of staff around you to say, oh, we haven't seen John Davis for 2 months, because we're talking 800 golfers. We're not going to realise that the odd person has just stopped playing golf.
Yeah, it's so interesting. One of the things the app, I'm plugging the app now already, but one of the things the app does is it can track for the club the scorecards. It tells you how many scorecards are used at the club, but also tells you who the people are that use them. So you'll actually be able to see if you get nomadic golfers coming in, hang on, that guy's coming in, he's playing X amount of times.
Yeah.
Then that's somebody for the GM to call.
Yeah, 100%. And we will get to the app, because obviously
sorry.
It's really pointy as well. But no, I mean, your app, the reason I wanted you on now rather than, leave it 2 weeks is that, it's quite timely at the moment, with all of us looking at how do we deal with not issuing scorecards and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just that balance. And of course, until you've sat on the other side and maybe been frustrated, like a golf club manager maybe would be, about not having a clue who's playing, who's not playing, and we don't sit there monitoring the first tee all day, even if you're lucky enough to have an office that overlooks it. I'm a big believer in trying to deal in data, and we just can't get any. But it's the members club, and if it's the same in most, and if the members of that club don't want a tee booking system, I'm not here to force it on them at all. My data is not more important than what they want. But just in a perfect world, having worked in both,
sometimes they don't know what they want, though, do they?
No. And what I would say is correct, yeah. And I never knew any different. But I would go as far as to say this now: if there were a club in the city of Cardiff near me that started booking tee times, a members club, I mean, not a proprietary club, I'd think seriously about joining it, because the way I think about it is, I can find out that there's 30 blokes turning up to play on the first tee at 5 o'clock tonight in 2 ways. I can find out on my screen at lunchtime that day and say, right, I won't bother. Or I can find out when I've driven home from work, changed, picked up my clubs and my son, and driven to the golf club and got 50 yards from the first tee. I can find out then. I think I'd rather find out at lunchtime and make other plans, but there are
what's interesting about what you're saying is, I think, is new mentality, is new generation. I think of people, they want everything quicker, they want everything correct, they don't want to waste time. So, like, I find, if I've played a couple of places, Purdy's Heath in Ipswich, which still uses, which is a great course, they still use a ball shoot.
Yeah.
And I played with my mate there. He's invited me along, and we played there. And I've turned up, and there's like 40 people there. And I'm like, oh, what are we going to do for 40 minutes? Just, it's 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go and sit in the clubhouse. For me, I want everything not fast and kind of unappreciated, but I want it done precise. So if I'm playing at 5, I'll play at 5. I don't want to go and sit around for 30 minutes or 40 minutes and then actually not even get out. I'd like to know when and where. I'm a bit like that. Maybe that's a new generation, but that's all golf. We're talking about tee times now. That is that in my experience, because I'm coming this. You've obviously got a senior position in a golf club. I'm coming from as a golf. So I was a golfer first, or a fan addict, and then started to work in the industry. So, but I look at the industry and I go, wow, there is so much that can be done differently. It just needs to be brought forward. And so that point you're making about tee times is actually, as far as I'm concerned, is a lot, not all clubs, but a lot of the clubs and a lot of aspects of the club.
Yeah. The only visitor consideration I have about why a booking system can be a positive is actually because then one of the biggest criticisms you get is that when there is no system, it's just rock up and play, is that you've got visitors quite often want to play at the times that all your members want to play. And if your members are booking 14 days in advance, they can book 3 days in advance if they want, but generally, they're up to 14 days in advance, and you only allow visitors to book 2 days in advance, the visitors are always getting the dregs, aren't they? So the visitors are never ever going to turn up and find themselves playing in the middle of the seniors roll up that morning or something like that. It's never going to happen, because a ball in the chute means if they're there before half the seniors, they're going out in the middle of the seniors. It never happens because the seniors have all booked their tea times, and it's only they can only have up us 2. That's all that's left that day as a visitor then.
And you'll have to wait 20 minutes on every shot, and because they ain't letting you through.
Yeah. Well, have you got some personal experience of that, have you?
No. I like to fire warning shots. Oh dear.
I don't play a lot during the week for obvious reasons, so it's not something But I certainly can't come on this podcast and have a go at senior golfers, because my dad is the current seniors captain at our club. So,
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not all golfers. Hopefully, the seniors at my club won't watch this, but.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I mean, you obviously getting on to how you started to form your ideas that obviously form what you do now today in your professional life. So you've done a bit of committee work, haven't you, at your club, which sort of gave you a bit of insight in how it all works.
Yeah, I'm the handicap secretary at the club. So I've been on the committee, I think 2 years. I think 2 years now. So you get and I probably am the youngest on the committee. But I think we've got.
Doesn't surprise me to hear that. I tell you what.
So maybe that gives a slight kind of different point of view sometimes. But I think our committee is pretty solid. It's a good mix of people. We try and get stuff done. But they're a good bunch of guys. So. The golf club's only as good as its members.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. How's that been, being maybe the younger guy on the committee for you?
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's fine. I say, they probably say I say what I think. So
I think that's the whole point of going on, isn't it? There's no point of not doing that. I think if you go on to a committee, sometimes it can leave you, in my job, it can leave you a bit frustrated sometimes, but I think the worst thing you can do is go onto a committee, have views, and not express them. I mean, what's the 100%. Point of that? You can always, I'm a big advocate of have this say, and what goes on in the room to a certain extent needs to stay in the room. Obviously, the minutes of meetings get produced, that sort of thing, which is fine. But people should be able to speak freely. And then at the end of it, if there's a difference of opinion in the room, it goes to the vote, and that's the whole democratic way that it's sorted out. I mean, have you got? I'm just interested in the whole younger guy on a committee thing. How old were you when you first went onto a committee then?
36. Yeah, 36 right. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, on average, that would be pretty young, I would say, for someone going onto a committee.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sat in committee meetings from the age of 27, which is when I came into golf management, and my favorite story along these lines of what we're talking about was I was sat in a committee meeting at a club I worked at, and I was 31 at the time, 31, 32, something like that. So anyone who knows me has just worked out where I'm talking about. But there was a large committee at that club, and they were talking about member recruitment and that sort of thing. And it got on to ages and why we haven't got many young members and everything else. And there was a conversation about 15 minutes long. And they were all sat talking about what people between 30 and 45 wanted. And I sat taking the meetings, and it wouldn't surprise you to hear, I'm sure, that I talk a lot in meetings, but I wasn't having much involvement in this conversation. And eventually I just said, can I just point something out to you all? You've all sat expertly talking about what people between 30 and 45 want from a golf club membership. And at no point have you referred to the only person in the room who is that age. and I think you could hear about 12 pennies drop in the room at the time. And they obviously thought, not considered really thinking, well, there's someone there who is a member of a golf club somewhere. Let's sort of ask him what he and his friends maybe want from a membership. But to be fair to them, once I made that point, they almost corrected themselves and thought, because that's something a lot of managers can get frustrated with, I think, is we always want to deal with expertise. So if we've got a legal question, we want to speak to a solicitor. If we've got an agronomy question, we want the head greenkeeper involved in it. And I'm sat there in the corner of the room thinking, hello. And but I've not actually. There's a young guy on the committee that I'm on now. I hope the others who maybe listen to this won't think I'm calling them old. But there's a younger guy on the committee where I work, and I think that works really well because he gives a different perspective. But it is rare, and I think hats off for doing it and keep doing it. And I think it's great that you're doing the handicaps. That's brilliant because I think that can be sometimes quite the sort of thing a retired guy is doing, and it becomes his life. And then I think to be juggling that with what you're doing,
it's definitely a thankless job.
Yeah, it's not one I do. 100%. I must be honest.
No, it's the worst one. In fairness, they're probably thinking about it. They've just palmed it off to me. But I've got two guys on the committee, the handicap committee, with me, and they do a lot of the kind of competitions and closing competitions and all that kind of stuff. So there's a good team there. I was asked to be vice captain a couple of years back, but funny enough, I didn't take it because I actually thought I wasn't old enough.
Right.
And maybe not at the club long enough. So, it's kind of we've had a couple of young captains recently, which one of the last captain, young captain, was brilliant. Really, really good captain. But it doesn't really I felt a bit awkward when I was asked that I'm too young. I shouldn't. How's that going to be perceived? Where I probably should have just done it, but at the time I was growing the app, so I probably didn't have the time to do it. But
so I ended up taking a proprietary club, aren't you? You've got an owner. What's the captain's job here then? Is it more ambassadorial type thing?
Yeah, pretty much. He runs all the swindles. He does a captain's charity. Ahead of the club,
Golf
basically.
Golf and social.
Definitely. Yeah. And the committee's quite heavily involved with the owners, so we kind of try and help, and especially with our club at the moment because they're investing heavily, and we're trying to feed that to the membership and keep the membership up to date with kind of what's happening and the future.
A lot of clubs are heading more in that direction. Certainly, I've worked for 2 English clubs, and I think they're quite well set up. One probably slightly better than other overall, but in terms of the captaincy and the role of the captain, or how it's supposed to work, is pretty well run. It is a golf and social thing. They've got their own committee. Yeah. I think that's quite an important thing. In Wales, which has been obviously the longer experience of my life, and I'm still a member of a club in Wales, the way I always refer to it is still more often than not, it's still the captain is God for the year. And that means, the direction of the committee, what the priorities are going to be. In some cases, what the spend is going to be is just dictated by one person, really. So, of course, you've got clubs who are constantly changing direction. They haven't, there's no plan to it. It's just the whim of whoever is in charge for that 1 year. And that's the thing. Yeah. If they were on for 3 years, it might be better because at least then there would be a consistent thing for 3 years. But, a lot of English clubs are moving away from that now. And do you know what? I think I would I would take the captain's job in an English club.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch it where I play. Not that I'll be asked to be captain where I play, but I wouldn't touch the barge pole, because I think the responsibility is huge. You know, you're not only the captain, so you're expected to be the ambassador and, you know, this and that. You're the MD, and all the financial decisions and chairing the committee, which, you know, I mean, that in itself is a task, no matter where you work. Wouldn't be for me, that thing. Not even if I was retired.
We've got a very good president, so
right.
I think that makes the job of captain easier, less pressure, because talking about going different directions, he's probably our, you know, main focus. So the captain comes in. I don't want to put the captaincy down, but I don't want to play the role down, because it's a very important role in our club. But I don't think they judge the direction of the club. I think it's, like you said, more social, more kind of, whereas the president is kind of, if he's the arrowhead, you know, and he chooses, or with the committee, the direction of the. So I think that works well. So then it's less pressure on the captains coming in.
Yeah, I've worked with a mix of both. So I've worked in 2 clubs where the captain is God, as I call it. And, you know, you as a manager, you can either have a really good year, or you're thinking this could be a bit of a rocky ride, this one. Sometimes you get people that surprise you, actually, and you think this might be a bit of a challenge, and they end up once they learn the role themselves to be, you know, pretty good people to work with. And then, but you know, more recently I've worked with chairmen who have got 3-year terms and can be re-elected and that sort of thing. And I just find I find a lot more stability in their thinking when it's a chairman, because I think that attracts a different type of person to being a captain as well. And I think it just gives a bit of stability, and they're not in a mad rush to achieve everything in 1 year when they're the chairman, who could potentially be doing it for 6 to 9 years. So they're just not in quite as much of a hurry. So you don't get quite as many sort of higgledy-piggledy decisions made that you think a year later, well, that doesn't match anything else we did.
Yeah, we're going to regret that.
It's interesting you've turned that down. Yeah, it's interesting you turned it down. I've only had experience of one young captain. I think, you know, I think he became quite a frustrated guy, because, again, had so much enthusiasm, love for the club. Just, you know, I think he realised halfway through the year that politics alone, you know, allow him to achieve what he wanted.
Yeah, for me, I think as well, it was more personal. Like, A, I didn't think maybe I was old enough to do it, but B, at the time we were having our 3rd child. You know, I was starting this business, so it was just like, can I put my energy into this when I'm trying to do these other things? So you know, it's definitely something I'd love to do.
Yeah, because nothing will get you more abuse than being an absent captain.
Oh, no, 100%.
I have seen it once, and, you know, I mean, his vice captain that year should have had his subs paid for him, really, because he was the busiest man in the club. But and the bad feeling that brings. So I think you've probably made a good decision, and then hopefully it'll be offered to you again in years to come. So
yeah, maybe they've got to know me now, so maybe not.
Yeah, well, maybe not. Yeah, that's right. So I mean, you will get on now. So obviously you're the brainchild and the owner and the CEO of Golf Hubber, which is an app. You know, I've said since I started doing these podcasts that, you know, I wasn't looking for people to come on with their sales pitches, and hopefully we've been 3/4 of an hour now and only mentioned it a couple of times. But you know, the reason I wanted the timing of you on now was because what you're doing and the sort of offer that you're giving to clubs at the moment can benefit them hugely in this current just post-lockdown coronavirus era. England, at the time of recording this, have been open for 2 days. Wales, most of the clubs in Wales are opening next Monday, so this will go live before they open their courses. And one of the big questions that we've been talking about for weeks is no scorecards, because of obviously all the touch points and even if you try and run a competition, you shouldn't be passing cards to the organizer of your swindle or anything like that, because the potential for passing things on there. So we obviously relatively early, once we realised we were going to open, came over to you with my club, mainly because of the digital scorecard facility that's on it. But obviously, in the long term, for me, I'm quite excited about being able to use the visitor side of things. But before we get into how it works and what the features are and everything else, because some people won't have heard of it, because golf's a big old industry and there's 1,000,001 different ideas out there. How did you come to think of this, first of all? Because
So the story. So my co-founder is a guy, a PGA pro, Charlie Luther. So Charlie Luther is a pro at my club, and basically one day we were talking, and I said to him, he wasn't giving me lessons at the time, somebody else was, but I said to him, I said, it's like impossible, talking about archaic things, it's impossible to get a golf lesson. Because you walk in the golf shop, you say, whatever your name is, can I get a lesson? All right, I'm just serving someone, I'll text you a time. Okay, cool. You go, 2 days later, he texts me. By the time I get back to him, that lesson's gone. And I was saying this to Charlie, and Charlie said, well, I've got an idea for a lesson booking app, where you've got a profile, you can go on, you can see a diary, you can book yourself in, it's quick. So for me, you'll get to notice about it. I like things done quick and speedy and convenient. It's things that are convenient. So for me, that's brilliant. So we were just basically one afternoon after a round of golf in the clubhouse talking about this, and within an hour it turned into this absolute monster of a networking kind of framework where clubs, pros, amateurs are on a digital platform, connecting with each other. There was nothing, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing out there that really does that. There's apps that are for users or amateurs. There's apps for pros. There's club systems, but there didn't seem to be anything that brought everything together. So we kind of discussed it. And as I said, I know I've said to you before, we haven't even launched. We're 4 years in, and it took 3 years of development. We haven't even launched the lesson booking side of things yet. We were about to launch that in March. It's built, but with everything that's happened, we decided to hold off. But it's about the connection of clubs. What we've done, is it revolutionary? We've effectively, we've got 8 apps, and we've just put them all together and connected everyone within that. It's it's as easy as that. So that's where it started. It started off as a lesson booking app, and then it was the first 6 months. It was called Your Golf Pro. So you find your golf, but we looked at them systems, and they don't have a database of users. You've got to create, as a pro, you've got to go out and get them users. So what we thought is, if we create a community, when we add these things in, the community can take advantage, and the pro doesn't have to actually build his own community. And the same with golf clubs.
I mean, we've seen it's not a golf app, but certainly, I've been exercising a bit over the last year, to say the least. And, something I started doing, I hate running. I don't enjoy running at all, but I started training towards a marathon that I should have been running in 2 weeks' time in Edinburgh, but it's been postponed. But when I joined this new gym, I'd been using a running app. So like you say, it's like an improvement on things that are already out there. But they started saying things to me in this gym, the guys that I would train in the same class in the mornings with, if it's not on Strava, it didn't happen, was one of the ones that they would say. And I think, I actually thought at the time, it should be something like this for golf. But, so there's apps where runners talk and that sort of thing. But when you can physically push on and click on someone's run that day and see the slopes on it and everything else. So there's no hiding from it, but, people commenting and that sort of thing. And I took months to sign up to Strava because I was, I can't be bothered. I use something else. Can't remember what it's called now. I've got a watch. No, I'm not signing up to that. But once you get in, it's like a community, isn't it? Once you get into
100%.
it.
100%. So what we looked at, Strava was one of the apps we looked at because it's great for competitiveness. Yeah. That's what most of us, we're competitive. We want to see what you shot, how rubbish you are, so I can text you and say I beat you, all them kind of things. So what we've tried to create is Facebook, LinkedIn, and Strava for golf.
Yeah.
So, you've got the business side of things where clubs and pros and companies, which we're adding, can talk to the users. You've got then the social media side of things, and then you've got the amateur kind of competitiveness. And, we're on a long road, and we've only just started. There's so mmany exciting new features and stuff. We always wanted it to be kind of like, I don't know if you played it when you were younger, Top Trumps. Where you had we wanted to be like that, so I can look at your profile and go, hang on, I'm better than him at putting, or so you can compete. And the fun side of golf for amateurs.
Interestingly, one of our best golfers went out today for the first time using the app, and I think he's actually tweeted about it when he came in, because that's one of the things that he loved. And when you talk about data, some of our pros were actually looking at ways to how can we track people's data in their round so that we can give more tailored lessons, because otherwise we're relying on oh right, I can see that you were 10 over your handicap on Saturday to someone they're coaching. Why was that? And they say, oh, I was slicing the ball, but they've actually sliced it 3 times. What they've done is, but they've missed 8 6-foot and less putts on the round. So really, the focus should actually have been on the putting, not on the slice. But they're relying just on the perception of the golfer that they're talking to, and data-based people want this information. So he was a big fan, one of the better players in the club who played it today.
And that's at the moment. Them stats are at our basic. They're our base level. They're free and everything. But we're actually in the process of improving and developing that, so you can actually really get into depth with it if you want. And that's what we've done. We've tried to build. When me and Charlie kind of started this, we tried to build a wide base. And then we've done these things. We haven't tried to, I think when we first spoke, I said to you, when we first reconnected, we're not trying to replace a club system. We're not trying to replace a club system, an IG or a golf or anything like that. What we're trying to do is add a little bit of fun to golf, and then give the club the ability to data capture nomadic golfers. Because membership's on the decline. That's been said for a long, long time, but nomadic golf is on the increase. So, how do we, as golf clubs, how do we capture that data? The old book writing, people writing their names in or putting a business card in, and like I said to you, even like competitions, if you have societies coming in, we've dealt with a club last year. They had 4 golf days that book with them every year, and it's 120 golfers in each golf day. So that's, it's close to 500 people. I said, oh, it's brilliant. How many people's data have you got? Oh, 3, because one of the guys is the same booker. I said, so you got 3 people's data of 500 people.
Been saying it for years. Totally agree. And
it's mental.
It's quite funny. And I say this to the guys that I work with and have worked with. So I'm not talking out of school now. The faces that PGA pros pull when you say you want them to get, right, if there's 12 players, we want 12 pieces of information. It actually amuses me now after so long in the industry that, it's like you've asked them to, run off with their wife or something. Honestly, it's just to get 12 names. But I would love, and I have sort of had my eye out for ways that you actually can take that job away from them, because I do appreciate that they're busy guys and they're obviously selling as well as serving and that sort of thing.
Oh, definitely.
But there has to be.
Even if you take that one aspect of the app, so if we look at that nomadic data, GDPR, everyone went mental a couple of years ago and deleted everything. which was a massive overreaction. Pure coincidence. We were building the app, and it just worked out brilliant for us. So the fact is, anybody that downloads our app, they're choosing to do so. If they choose to follow your club, they're opting in to following you. They'll also be asked when they follow you what notifications they want to hear about from the club. That gets stored all in your back end system. So you might have 1,000, 2,000 followers. Of that, 800 want to hear about green fee offers. 600 want to hear about course openings. So it just stores all that data, and you can see when they've played. You can see, and nothing like that is out there, which is, it's crazy, isn't it? Really, like if you look at the business of golf, it's crazy.
Yeah, I've been surprised that the club-based systems haven't developed in that direction over the years. Because these systems started off quite basic, and then they've grown and grown, and then obviously there's been another big player come into the market the last few years, and you obviously use the same system as me, and
great
I think
clubs. It's a great member system.
Yeah,
great member system.
Absolutely. I've just been surprised that they haven't gone in that direction. Now, what I would say is on the membership side of things, I think they probably do keep adding some pretty good, valuable tools onto that. So maybe they've just decided, that my focus is going to be on a membership system for members and clubs to use with its members, which is fine. I've just wondered whether any of them were ever going to actually venture out into the sort of thing that you're now doing.
We've probably just inspired them to do it as well.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But so it was obviously born from frustrations about not being able to book lessons and that sort of thing. But so now today, like I say, it's not really a sales pitch. This is me. I've been telling people from the 2 GCMA regions that I'm a member of about this, because it gives us a short-term solution to a problem that we've all been discussing in not providing scorecards and that sort of thing. So you're providing to clubs for, is it 6 months?
Yeah. So what we thought we were going to give, it was actually Charlie's idea. We were going to give the clubs, for the amount of time social distancing was, we thought, well, that's a bit quite too open. Let's just say, right, we'll give them 6 months. If in 3 months' time, everything's back to normal, great. But we just give the system to the clubs. Yeah. They can set up, they can use as many scorecards as they like for members, non-members. They can set up as many live scoring competitions as they want. I think we've had about, I would hazard a guess how many we've set up today for different clubs around the country. About 50 of them were at your golf club. Overexcited members.
Imagine that 50 hours a week.
I know. But what he did, it's like when we talked previously. It's if you can set up a live leaderboard, it starts at 7 a.m, it finishes at 11:30 at night. We haven't got that touch and feel contact in the clubhouse, the banter. That's why people are members of golf clubs. They love playing golf, but they love the camaraderie. Being with your mates. So 2 balls isn't doesn't really do it for you. So the fact is, you enter a code which the club sets up, and they can enter their scores. And we've, even people who aren't playing, like on our WhatsApp today at our club, there's people texting saying, I'm watching you play. They're not playing, but they're watching the live leaderboard. You've just blobbed, you're melting or what, whatever, just interaction, isn't it? That's what people, and it becomes second nature. Like our biggest thing was always, are the older generation going to want to do it? Are they going to want to download? What's quite funny is at the beginning they're like they maybe some are against it. They always end up downloading because they always want to look at the leaderboard. They always want to see the guy on the par 3 in front of them. Oh, hang on, if he misses this, I'm going to be ahead of him. Or if it creates that kind of feel. So
it does, yeah. I think this situation though, it not just with this topic, but we're being forced to do things that we probably wouldn't have done by choice. So, we spoke 100%. About T-booking earlier on, right? So T-booking is one topic, but, another one that I think is a big topic, and I do wonder whether golf is going to listen to the lesson that's being given here. In both the regions that I've got any good knowledge of, we're being inundated with membership inquiries because all the clubs have said for the first time in 25 years, members only. And as a result, we're being inundated with membership inquiries. One club I spoke to this morning on a Zoom meeting has had 24 membership inquiries in 2 days, right? Now, that all these people, all these companies that work within golf and providing different types of membership in inverted commas and that type of thing, they invest a lot of time and effort telling us that people don't want memberships anymore, and more importantly, they can't afford memberships anymore.
Yeah.
And within 3 days of being told if you're not a member somewhere, you will never get a game of golf, the applications are flying in.
Yeah.
And I think there's a real lesson there for golf in the UK to listen to and learn from if we've just opened our ears to hear it. And I can't say I'm hopeful that generally as a region and as a country we're going to listen in and pay attention to that and use that data and say, right, let's not go back to this, saying how important these nomadic golfers are. But I think, in maybe a more corporate type world, I think that probably would be a lesson that was learned.
I think this could be the shot in the arm golf is needed to bring it up to modern standards of communication, of systems. I think the world, the business world will change. Not just golf. I think people working from home. I think companies after this will continue that because they've realised, hang on, I don't need a massive office.
Yeah, well, I think Twitter have announced that that's been doing forever, isn't it? Already, they've said even after this, Twitter is now home based. There are associations in golf that they're not doing it, but it's been floated that who knows, we may not have a head office in a few years' time. Yeah. We may all just work remotely. I do think now that technology is getting better. And again, we've been forced into Zoom meetings, haven't we? We've been forced into, making sure that we can do from home what we could do from the office and that sort of thing. And once we've been forced into it, in a lot of cases, I think we've proved, do you know what, we actually can do this way.
Well, it's like what we talked about the tea times. If you're forced into the tea time thing, actually, this is probably good. So it's the same with the digital scorecards. Like we've picked up your kind of area of, we picked up all them new clubs. Now, would we have picked them up as easily as we would have? And now, once they're using digital scorecards, is that the future? Are they, is that what we're going to do from now on? I think big changes, and I think it's going to make everyone. And also, we talked about this about community. Golf should be a community. Golf clubs should help each other. I think personally, golf clubs close off from each other and try and compete. But in fact, what they should do is they should work together to improve golf for the experience for everyone. And I think that can only help everyone.
I can only speak from my own experience. I always found South Wales, the M4 corridor was always like that. There was a lot of collaboration, nothing like price fixing or anything like that, but just a lot of collaboration and best practice and that sort of thing. And it's always been useful to be able to go to your committee and say, well, listen, this is what X, Y, Z clubs are doing. I know that because their manager told me yesterday. So that was quite useful. The Southwest region is quite difficult, and Karen Drake, who's the regional manager for that region from Burnham and Barrow, she does a terrific job of trying to manage that region because it's so geographically huge that there are meetings in the Southwest region that you have to drive 5 hours to get to if you live in the wrong place. So all of a sudden we're all now completely online with Zoom. The Southwest have been meeting every week. And the guys that I used to see maybe twice a year when we get together in what we call the Bristol and District Managers Group and have a half-day business meeting where no agenda and just talk about the topics of the day. You know, I've been talking to them every week and hearing their insights. I mean, I set up a WhatsApp group. So this has brought that region a lot closer together. And there's so much experience in that region that I've been delighted to draw from, because there's hundreds and hundreds of years of experience in the job just on one Zoom meeting, you know? And I think you're right. Clubs do need to do it. I think even some managers who maybe didn't used to engage with these types of things have been engaging because they've had to, because they've thought, I don't know what's going on here. I need to try and find out if someone's got a clue what to do. And now we're being forced into it. You could probably be right, because Long Ashton would have been one of those, you know, where I work. Would I have bothered trying to put the digital scorecards on the members' side of things if there weren't this problem that needed solving? Probably not, because we would have been thinking, well, you know, they can do some of that on Intelligent Golf now. But, you know, as I said to you when we were off air, as a management tool for managing your visitors, you know, it's a no-brainer for me, and I'll be using it. But yeah, you could be right. And, you know, I think you're absolutely right as well in what you're saying about people try something and say, oh, I didn't think I'd like this, but I actually do. Same thing happened, you know, the last couple of days. People who I thought would never be pro tee booking have come off and said, that was Millionaires Golf. I rocked up 9 putts and I walked onto the tee. You know, you know, you try something, you don't know it, do you? So
100%.
So what would clubs, what's the journey for, you know, you've got a golf club manager listening to this conversation. What's the journey for them to go from saying, I want to give that a whirl, to, you know, to being able to tell their members, we've got this now? Because I was lucky, I got in early. So you did a lot of work behind the scenes I didn't have to do. But what's the journey? So they contact you.
They just simply contact us. You know, we'll explain the system. We'll explain what we're giving them. Then it takes probably, say, half a day to set up their basic profile, which is their profile on the app, which, you know, tells visitors about, you know, what services they got. It'll give telephone numbers, emails, and everything. That will be like almost like a Facebook page then that they can use. They can keep members up to date with, you know, news about social distancing or anything they want. And then, once that's created, I'll give them a call back, and then we'll just take them through the back end system, you know, that shows them how to create tournaments. So they can literally create live scoring tournaments, you know, hundreds a day if they want, for members, different swindles, whatever it may be. There's a lot of other features it does. Obviously, the data capture we've talked about. You know, it also will break each user down into what information they want to hear. So, as an example, if clubs want to use it as a club app for, you know, its members, it can do that as well. So, if you want to send a course update, rather than it being a MailChimp email that goes into, you know, a spam folder, it actually goes direct to their phone and pings their phone as a push notification. We also have vouchers on there, so the clubs will be able to set up vouchers for whatever they want. 9 holes, you know, 9 holes, and, you know, once this is over, 9 holes and food, 18 holes and food. It gives them just a little bit more of control. I think we talked about, you know, off it as well. You know, the old kind of golf now, tee time, race to the bottom, less charges. You know, why be a golf member? Because I can play, you know, when I can play for £10. You know, we have given the control back to the club. If they want to book a tee time, they set the price, and then they can sell it within our app. Same with golf lessons. So there's a lot of other features. We're not really kind of pushing them features with the clubs at the moment. All we're saying, let's set up your profile. Let's get you new followers. Let's get people following digital scorecards, and just keep that kind of entertainment, you know, within the membership. Like we at the Hertfordshire, they're going to do an order of merit over from now until the end of June. One guy's got a bank account. Everyone's putting like 10 quid in the bank account, and they'll use the daily leaderboards to, you know, take the scores.
Yeah, I
So
mean, for us, for the members, for now, certainly my thinking was, and certainly the reason that I know a lot of managers in the Southwest region were looking to get in touch with you was, one of the things that's sort of lost at the moment is because booking in two balls, only arriving 10 minutes before your tea time, you're not crossing paths with all those guys that are in your playing group. And, where I work is a club of roll-up groups where I play. There's a lot of roll-up groups. And they've all got their own WhatsApp groups. So we can't allow them to congregate together. But while they're out on the golf course, maybe spread over 2 hours of first tee time because they have, maybe they didn't manage to get all the bookings they wanted. At least they can still see how each other are doing. Then afterwards, they don't have to, sort of scribble it on pads of paper and have someone send it out by WhatsApp or something. It's, it's real time.
100%.
And I think that's why so many of our members are keen on it. Like you say, you can set up as many as you want in a day. What my intention is like you were telling me, you can give secondary admin to somebody so they can, every one of these groups has got an organizer, haven't they, formal or not. You give them access. You say, look, I'm not setting it up for you, but if you want to set up your swindle, your roll up, whatever it is, twice a week, here's a code, knock yourself out.
Exactly.
And it gives them the control over their own competition and who's in it and that sort of thing. Then, and I think they'll love it once they get to grips with it. They've certainly all been downloading it. I know that.
Definitely.
It's a nice little feature. I still don't know what I think about live scoring for my own personal game. I love it as a technological thing. And, it brings you somewhere near what it's like for the pros of knowing how each other are getting on and that sort of thing. I've just had a really bad experience with live scoring. I was playing a golf day at Bowood 3 years ago. We played Bowood.
Yeah.
In Wiltshire. It's very nice course, and lovely hotel and that there. And live scoring, and I was playing in a team with my father and a couple of other friends. And we were doing pretty well, but I was kind of aware that I was playing quite well for what is quite a difficult golf course. And I think with 4 holes left, I made the mistake of turning it from on its side to turning it up, which took it from team leaderboard to individual. And I was tied for the lead. I went to pieces. Went absolutely to pieces. I think I dropped 6 shots in 4 holes or something like that. Gone. I think I finished 8th in the end. So I love the technology. I'm not sure my brain has quite got the mentality for it. I think I'm maybe too competitive and want to win a little bit too much for it. But I think I think I'll go down a storm, and it wouldn't surprise me to hear that this weekend at my club that they're using it and setting it up, because obviously we'll make sure they've got their passwords, that sort of thing. And that was what led me to recommend it to all the other club managers. Really was, short term, your members are going to love this, I think, and it solves a problem that we've all got. But in the long term, capturing the data of these visitors is everything, because again, you can set up the live leaderboards for a society day that comes in. So if they want the live leaderboard, they've got to give you their data, haven't they? Which in the past has not been the case.
100%. 100%. Like, I'm not sure how many golf days or societies you do at your club, but if you work out kind of an average what you do and how many potential kind of users that is, because it's potential, new members or continual visitors. If you've got that constant touch and feel, it's like
the society people at the club that I work for now, certainly not a lot of them are future members, because they're in societies, and a lot of the time they're probably a member at a club. Even if they're not, they play enough with their society. But I think the ones on a visitor level that are most interesting to me are the ones that visiting golfers. So they come in 2s and 3s. And they obviously go around playing courses in the area. They're not part of a big society. I think they're huge potential members, those people, and potentially in 2s and 3s as well. I mean, if you can get them to come in with already 1 or 2 friends as well, it makes their transition into a club so much smoother. I think they haven't got to, come in on their own and try and, who can I play with, that sort of thing. They've already got that solved. And and they can kind of ease themselves into club life at their own pace, as opposed to having to force it a bit. And I think those are the huge potential members, much more than society players. And I think, you know, this app certainly, I think, targets them more than anything.
And where I think, because live scoring's been around for a while and it has been popular, but what tends to happen is they give you the devices like you've used. But, you know, golf clubs, you know, that's a £500 to £1,500 fee that they charge for that service. You know, with our service, it's free for the amateur download. You know, it's easy to use. But I just think even if you had 8 golfers coming into your pro shop, and you said you're pro, like you said, it's difficult to get them to get names or details. If you just said to them, guys, there's 4 of you. You know, you're in 2 groups or 3 groups. Do you want live scoring? I can set it up for you now, free of charge.
Yeah.
You know, and that's 8 people's data, 12 people's data that they're following the club now. Yeah,
and that's my intention with it. Really, it's a nice way, and it's giving service. Most importantly, it's giving a good service.
I think people will come back.
Well. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
people will definitely come back.
That's really important. Yeah.
I'm
going to put your sort of company details, that sort of thing, in. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the notes underneath. If you're on the podcast, it'll be in the notes of the podcast there if you're downloading it. So we'll put that so they'll know where, you know, how they can get hold of you about it. Alternatively, if they want to be really quick, do you want to? Is there an email address or a website or something like that you'd like to just point them towards?
Yeah, if it's a club GM, so we just do clubs at golfhubber.com. If it's an amateur that just wants live scoring for a swindle and, you know, hasn't asked the club, they can do live scoring at golfhubber.com. And we'll set that up for them. They can give it a try. That's the important thing. I know we focused on clubs here, but, you know, the app can be downloaded by amateur. There's 39,000 preloaded kind of scorecards on there around the world, so you can play anywhere you like. And what's good, you can add up to 3 people to your scorecard, so 4 people can play, and it creates a live leaderboard just with them 4 people as well. So even that, just going out in 4 people, you know, you've got a live leaderboard as you're playing, rather than having to work out and count up. People can see where they are relative to their score.
Yeah, I mean,
or then people that want to see it anyway.
No, yeah, I think like GCMA Wales, as I mentioned earlier on, you know, I love being a member of that, and I love meeting up with the guys once a month in normal times during the season. And I wouldn't say all of our people who play in our competitions we have after our meetings, that sort of thing, would get involved, because we do have some technological dinosaurs, I'll call them, and they'd be happy for me to say that. The kind of guys that, you know, can't work out how to turn their microphone on Zoom recently and that sort of thing. But certainly a lot of it, but a lot of us serving managers, I can imagine us maybe having live scoring running as we're playing in some of these events, just to take the mick out of each other, really, and try and, you know, have a bit more fun and games during the games.
What's interesting about that is them dinosaurs, if you add them to your scorecard, I guarantee technological. Okay. You said dinosaurs. I definitely heard you. But I guarantee they'll want to see the leaderboard on your phone at some point in the round. They'll want to know where they are. Happens all the time.
Possibly. Yeah. I could imagine that happening. Yeah, but I can see us using it, because we do, you know, when we've been playing matches, you know, against England, that sort of thing, we've got WhatsApp groups going and we're keeping each other in touch with the scores so that we know if we're close and that sort of thing. So, you know, we do already have a little bit of history of doing that sort of thing. But I think this will maybe, you know, just for the fun of it, really.
Yeah, exactly. With that, we're launching very shortly match play. Ryder Cup match play. So if you do, you can do England against Wales. So you can do England against Wales pairings, and you can, you know, have exactly the same kind of leaderboard as the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, well,
so it's just fun.
Perfect, because that's I love that day, and I look forward to it every year. Wales England golf managers, And the last couple of years, Wales managed to win the trophy after, I think, over a decade without winning it.
Okay.
And but that's the one thing I've always thought we could make a little bit more of the occasion of it, of kind of knowing where we are during the match rather than coming in and finding out in the bar when we're finished. You know, I've more recently been towards the back of the field the last few years, and there's another pairing that is particularly strong that always plays towards the back of the field, and you're thinking, I'd kind of like to know how important this last hole is.
Exactly.
And you know, to be able to do something like that would be great. But I can imagine lots of members doing things with that as well, particularly during the winter, maybe when there's not formal comps. Yeah,
because there's better ball. There's pro. We can even do pro-ams on there. I think we've used it for the club when we've played other clubs and they're winning. We've done the scratch matches. So we've played scratch matches using it because, you know, it's fun. It's good, especially in the singles in the afternoon. You know, Christ, I need to win this point, or I need to kind of get a half point here. So it just creates that kind of, you know, some people like that, some people don't.
Yeah, I've only had one experience of it, and it was playing Wayfarers Golf, which is the handicaps 10 to 17 in South Wales. And we were, I think, last but one out, but we knew the group behind us were getting stuffed. And it was a cup game, and it was probably the two best Wayfarers team in the area. And I stood on the 18th tee at Pontypridd, your hometown, and looked down towards the green. The 18th at Pontypridd is a particularly tough hole. And I could see the captain of the team, who was also captain of the club, so no pressure, basically standing at the back of the green, letting us know we needed a half.
No, nice.
But I tell you what, as nervous as I was and as panicked as I was at the time, you know, it definitely enhanced the whole team experience, knowing that this lot have got to get a half on this hole. You know, otherwise it would have been, oh, how'd you get on? And maybe, you know, I think you play the hole differently if you know where you stand as a team in the match. I think it makes a difference, you know.
Definitely. So, and what's interesting, when we first built the app, the leaderboard and everything, and the ability for people who aren't playing to actually watch the leaderboard, there was a bug at the very beginning. The people watching used to appear at the bottom of the leaderboard. But you'd actually find, like on a Saturday swindle, you'd have more people watching than actually playing.
Right.
Because they want to see they want to see how their mates are doing. They want to see, like as I said, it's happened today. We've had probably about 40, 50 people use the app today at the Hertfordshire. There's a leaderboard going. I'm in second.
Get that in.
Last time I looked. But you know, people have been saying, "Oh, you had a good round," but there's that conversation going on. You know, personal WhatsApp. You know, oh, what happened on 15? I blobbed. But you know, it's the interaction. That's what people miss, I think, isn't it? Interaction. Yes. That's what people miss about all this. You know, we miss the golf, but we miss our mates. We miss the banter. You know, the fun. Exactly. So hopefully, if we can bring a little bit of that. And as I said, by giving it for free for 6 months, clubs can use it, no obligation, and you know, hopefully they can see. You know, there's a method in the madness. Hopefully they'll like it and they'll continue to use it.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those that probably benefits all parties, doesn't it? I think.
Definitely.
So we'll obviously moving on from the app. Like I say, we'll make sure we post all the contact details for you.
Cool.
In the bio and that sort of thing. So a few bits to end. I mean, you obviously had a business life before Golf Hub. Is there any sort of podcasts, books, audio books, that sort of thing you'd recommend for people around business, maybe around golf, even if you've come across any?
One great book, which I think is probably one of the best books I've ever read, which you can cover every aspect of your life, whether it's business or golf or whatever, is The Chimp Paradox.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but I know lots of people who have. Yeah.
What a book. It's like reading about yourself. It is, you know, for mental kind of, whether it's you want to improve business, sports, athletes, because the guy that did it is, I think was the cycling, British cycling team, but unbelievable. And when you read it, it's kind of like, oh my god, this happens to me all the time. It's about, you know, having two parts of your brain, you know, the chimp in your brain that stops you doing things. You know, you think, oh, I need to do that, and then the other part of your brain, they almost independently go, no, don't do that, just, you know, let's watch another episode of that or do that. So it's about controlling your chip. It's a good read.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
good
There's a
read.
lot to be said for that in all walks of life. I mean, you know, those who follow me on Twitter would probably be aware already, but you know, I've lost 4.5 stone in the last 10 months, and there's a lot of that mental side of it that that I think was why I, having finished playing football, just got to the state I was in, frankly. You know, and it wasn't laziness, you know, and it wasn't not knowing how to eat. I'm a former qualified personal trainer. I know exactly how you should eat. I just didn't. But it's I can relate to that a lot. And you're right. I think you can relate it to anything in life, really, whether you're in business, whether you just want to be a little bit better at golf, because there's a lot of that goes on in golf. You know the shot you should hit, but you chicken out of it and you don't commit to the shot, or you know, or maybe sometimes you sort of convince yourself that you can hit a shot that really you can't. But the worst thing you can do is have any doubt in your mind, that sort of thing. I think it relates to a lot of things, really. And there's one I came across for golf that is particularly good for anyone that maybe works in a members golf club or is on a members golf club committee or subcommittee or anything else. It was actually recommended by the former chief executive of the Golf Club Managers Association, Keith Lloyd, back in the day. Quite an old book, The Iceberg is Melting. And I didn't read it for years after it had been recommended to me, but when I started commuting a bit more to work than I used to, I listened to it on audio. It's quite short. It's written almost like a children's book, really, almost. But it's all about this group of penguins living on an iceberg, and they go for a swim one day where they shouldn't have gone, and they find that the iceberg they all live on is melting. And they come back and tell the tribe, and the tribe won't believe them, and nobody wants to know. And they go to the council, but you know, the committee, and there's a guy on committee called No, who says no to everything and doesn't want any change and doesn't believe in science and all of this kind of stuff. And it's really interesting to relate to any sort of, you know, amateur sport club or committee-led organisation and how it can work. It has a happy ending, so it's not a book that just the system off.
I was getting worried about the penguins.
Yeah. No, they're all right. They live. Most of them.
That's fine.
Most of them.
Yeah.
But golf courses, then. We've obviously spoken about golf. You've expertly positioned your trophies in the background there.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I think the only one I bought that myself.
If I did that here and put the Wales GCMA trophies I've managed to win over the last year in the background, I'm absolutely slaughtered by the Welsh members that watch this. But
I can see something. I can see something. What's that up there? There's a medal up there in the background. Is that a medal?
That's a 10K. I do 4 of those a week.
Oh, okay.
There because it's been left on the table. I'm not.
Okay.
When I
showing it off.
No, definitely not. Though when I eventually get to run this marathon, I'll probably wear that medal around for a couple of weeks. I'll wear it in the bath. I'll wear it to work because that's one thing to tick off my list when I do that. But golf courses. I mean, you say you managed to get around a few. You mentioned one before we started recording. You know, what would you say is your favourite golf course that you've ever played?
This country. Can I do 2?
Anywhere, yeah, of course. But by all means, with recommendations well received.
So Sawgrass, TPC Sawgrass is my favourite one. I played in America. Amazing. Did 3 days there, and I just think.
What was the climate like, out of interest, when you played?
It was lovely. Yeah, lovely.
Not too hot.
No. I can't think what time of year. I think we went in like November.
Okay. I had a horrific experience golfing in Florida.
It was so good, mate. It was just everything they do is just they take your bag, their shoes. It's the experience you get there on the range. You know, we seen Jim Furyk was on the range, Vijay Singh was on the range when we were there. It was just like experience. And I think I can't remember what I played off. I think I was off 16 or 15 back then, and I was fairly new to golf as well. So it was just kind of playing them holes that you've seen the players and stuff. So that's one as a whole kind of experience. My favorite one in the UK is.
I can't let you move on. What did you score on 17?
Parred it every day, 3 days in a row.
Well done.
And what's funny is I've got a video, and I looked at it the other day, of my mates recorded me, and my swing is so awful. It's the ugliest swing, and I'm pretty sure it was a thin as well. And I stuck it to about 10 foot, but yeah, middle of the green every day, middle of the green. In fairness, actually,
I played. Go on.
My mate who I played with, Luke Smith, I'm giving him a shout out. Yeah, he was something like the 4th or 5th person to ever eagle the 18th hole. So he hit a drive, and then he holed his second shot.
Never.
Top of the jammy as hell. He right of the green, and we could have walked to the green by the time it actually went in the hole. It just trickled and just kept trickling down, bang in the hole, and they give him a flag and everything. Jim Furyk signed it, actually, I think. For him. Yeah, but yeah, that was a great experience.
The only experience I had like your Sawgrass one was I played the Brabazon at the Belfry, and I was looking forward to it for months, and I was working in a club that had a simulator at the time which had the Belfry on it, and I was practicing the 10th hole because obviously trying to drive the green, and it came to the day. And I'd been talking about it. I'd been doing their heads in for weeks about it, the 3 guys I was playing with. And we hit, and I hit this drive. And one of the guys playing with me said, "Oh, no, he's done it. He's going to be unbearable." And it came down, a lovely shape on it. And it came down and it hit the top of the railway sleeper, coming in at an angle, and splashed into the water. And it was like they'd won the Ryder Cup, the 3 of them. It was absolutely fantastic. But again, they were recording it because they record everyone on the 10th at the Belfry and play them in the bar afterwards, in the golfers bar. Nice. So that I, inches away, but I then had to relive it all night as it was playing on loop in the bar. Nice. So would you say Sawgrass then was number 1 or just number 1 overseas?
No, number 1 overseas. Oh, in this country, I love Swinley Forest.
Yeah, okay.
So Swinley Forest is
yeah, he speaks very highly of it.
It's kind of St George's Hill mixed with Sunningdale, kind of. Right. Yeah, it's just it's a small it was a members only club. They opened it up to kind of. It's just a great course, just lovely. It's not too long. It's it's just you play there, and it's just everything about it is perfect.
I mean, like I say, my head greenkeeper, he gets invited to the GCMA Golf Day because he lectures on their course, and he speaks really highly of it. And of course, being a greenkeeper, he appreciates just how good it maybe is by the standard of it, because he's a tidy enough golfer, but he appreciates the finer points of it as well, I think.
Yeah, it's got subtleties. It's not massive. It's not long. You've got to put the ball in the right place, but it is beautiful. Yeah. So
I asked you it off air, but to keep my consistency that I answer this question, I still haven't found somebody that has played Salgados in Portugal with me. No. I'm just desperate to find someone that's got my misery. Misery loves company. It's not going to happen.
No, I mentioned that misery comes at Thracian Cliffs.
I think that course you were telling me has got loads of like really long grass or something, isn't it? Is that
long grass? But it's really but it's not just that. It's water. There's a par 3 that drops down about 100 yards, and it's basically you look down. It's like a stamp, and you've got the sea, and like if the wind's blowing, you've got to play it out to kind of see. It's only maybe a 9 iron or 8 iron, but the amount of balls in that water must be.
They probably make the 2010. The 2010 at the Celtic Manors like that. I think the 18th. I reckon when they empty that, because I've had an experience there. I hit the green with a sand wedge. I think 3 times. I actually pitched it on the green, and all 3 of them have rolled back into the water. So it must be hundreds and hundreds.
Too much spin.
But I definitely haven't got any spin. I'm not Definitely not. So last question, and I
Yep.
always put people on the spot with it so that we get their instant reaction. So dinner party, you're the chef. You're having 5 guests from history, dead or alive, can be absolutely anyone. Can be a member of the family. It can be a celebrity. Give out a quick whirl, because when you're asked that off the top of your head, you usually get the most honest answers.
5 people from. Oh God, gotta have some golfers in there. You probably have Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson. I'm gonna have a lot of golfers. Rory.
It's fine by me. Carry on.
I'd also like. I can't think of his name. His name's gone out of my head. The iPhone Apple creator.
Oh, Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. I'd like Steve Jobs and who else? Oh crap! We can cut this down shorter. So I just like fire it.
You really want to go. Always better if you just ask someone on the spot, because when you give people notice, they start. I find that
trying to think tactically.
Yeah, and they try and make themselves, sound Mother Teresa and all of this type of thing. Just.
I've nailed it. Tom Jones.
Good man. Good
man.
Man.
Tom in there, haven't you? He can sing a little.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm
big Tom fan.
Yeah, I'm a big Tom fan. Got to be in here. He's from Ponty.
Absolutely. Yeah. Boy from Nowhere. One of his songs, isn't it? Green grass at home. Well, Rich, thanks very much. We've had a good old chat. We could have got all night, I think, but
yeah.
I'm sure people listening will have to do it in shifts, but well worth it. It's been really enlightening for me. I'm, young committee member, and how you came into golf, and obviously the app and everything else. It's just been a good old chat. I've enjoyed it, and
you, mate.
Yeah,
catch up.
I say we'll make sure that everyone listening has got the details. Good luck with the app. You're going to be busy in the coming weeks and months, because there haven't been many positives. Yes, no, there haven't been many positives in all of this, have there? No. But this might be one for you. It helps you engage some more people. So Good luck with it, and we'll go offline even there.
Thank you.